Hello, welcome to Lesson 4 of Wycliffe Australia's Story of the Bible Online Comprehensive course. I hope you've been enjoying the lessons so far, and I also hope you've been enjoying the homework assignments we've been giving you. One of the assignments from last lesson was drawing a storyboard for the story you've been crafting of Jesus healing the paralysed man. And I hope you didn't fall into the trap of spending too long drawing each of those pictures. The storyboard is meant to be an aid for yourself for visualizing and remembering the story. And so 1 minute per picture in that storyboard should be more than enough to put together something to help you in that regard. I also hope you enjoyed the reading assignment from last week. Last lesson, you were reading the introduction to making disciples of oral learners. And you know, after setting up the One Story project, the 5 organizations involved have run trainings around the world using that methodology. And so thousands of people have now been trained to craft and tell Bible stories and run Bible studies in their own language. And for many of these people, these are very minority language groups around the world. So language groups where they don't actually yet have access to the Bible in their own language because it hasn't yet been translated. And so Bible storytelling has become a valuable tool for evangelism, church planting and leadership training for many ethnic groups. And that's a valuable tool that goes side by side, hand in hand with Bible translation and literacy work and Bible engagement work that could happen in those communities as well. So one of your reading assignments for this lesson is reading chapter 1 of Making Disciples of Oral Learners. The second reading is about the impact of biblical storytelling in northeastern India. The missionary involved had previously had a very successful ministry church planting in Central America. And so he went to India thinking of himself as a successful missionary and tried to apply his proven methodologies there in India. But they failed dismally. So he turned to storytelling as a potential solution, and the results far exceeded his expectations. See your homework assignment A for some reflections and feedback on those reading assignments for this lesson. This lesson, we're going to be looking at using a storyboard to tell a story. We're going to do some more learning from a Bible story, and you get to hear another testimony from a Bible storyteller. Let's talk about telling a Bible story using your storyboard. I mentioned last lesson about how storyboards are used in the filmmaking industry. They're used as a way of helping convey the director's vision of what the scenes and the movie should look like to the actors, to the graphics effects people, and to all the cast and crew involved in making the movie what it's going to be. Here in biblical storytelling, we're using storyboards as a way of you helping you imagine what happened in the story, and helping you as the storyteller then be able to remember and faithfully retell it from that imagination. If you as the storyteller can imagine in your mind the story as you tell it, that will help your listeners to imagine in their minds the story, and that will help them to remember it. It will make the story more gripping and more memorable. Let's talk about learning. In homework assignment part B for this lesson, you'll use your storyboard to tell the story and to revise your story to help improve that story. That will help prepare you to tell the story to others. In lessons 1, 2 and 3, you were introduced to some Bible study questions that you can ask people after you've told them a Bible study. The questions were, what did you learn about God or Jesus in this story? What do you learn about people in this story? And what did you like in the story? This lesson we're teaching you another question, and this one's a double-barreled question. It's phrased in a specific way for a specific reason. So let me tell you what the question is. It goes like this. There were some things in the story that some people might not like. What were some of those things? Now, it might seem counterintuitive to ask a question that's so long and complicated. But by asking the question this way, you do two things. Firstly, It enables people who might be scared of owning up to the fact that they dislike something about the story you've just told. It enables them to put those concerns in someone else's voice and say, well, someone might not like this about the story. But secondly, asking the question in this way challenges Christians who hear your story to think, if I told that story to a friend or a neighbour who doesn't know Jesus, what things would they dislike in the story? So we're going to, once again, listen to the same Bible story, Jesus healing a paralyzed man. And as we do, I want you to reflect on that question. There are some things in this Bible story that some people may not like. What are some of those things? And that will form your homework assignment part C, writing down your answers to that. Let's listen to the story now.
One day, Jesus was in a house teaching, and there were so many people that wanted to hear what Jesus had to say that it was standing room only. Inside the house was some religious leaders who were listening to what Jesus was teaching. Outside the house were 4 men with their friend, a paralysed man. They wanted to take him to see Jesus, but they couldn't get through the door. So they went round the side of the house, up the steps, and onto the flat roof. They dug a hole, got some rope, and lowered their friend down in front of Jesus. Jesus, seeing that they trusted him, said to the man, "Son, your wrongdoings are forgiven." While the religious leaders were thinking to themselves, "Who is this man? Only God can forgive wrongdoing. Does he think he's God?" Jesus knew what they were thinking and said, "Which is easier, to say to this man, 'Your wrongdoings are forgiven,' or to say, 'Stand up, pick up your mat, walk and go home'? But so that you know that I have authority to forgive wrongdoings," he turned to the man and said, "Get up, pick up your mat, walk and go." And instantly the man got up, picked up his mat and walked off praising God. And all the people in the house were amazed and said, "Praise God! I've never seen anything like this."
Hello, my name is Peter. One of the very useful tools we use in crafting a Bible story is the storyboard. The process of drawing a storyboard was developed by Walt Disney Studios in the 1930s to give the actors a preview of what the motion picture was about. So a storyboard consists of illustrations displayed in sequence to show where the story is going. That's why we use it in Bible story crafting, so we can see where the story is going action by action. In your resources file, you will find a sheet with 10 tips for drawing your storyboard. The first one is use scrap paper. You'll throw away the storyboard most probably after you've used it, so don't use good paper. If your scrap paper is A4 in size, cut it in half, then draw your storyboard landscape, not portrait, and use a felt pen. Then you can see the illustration even if you're standing 3 meters away. Look up your resources file and you'll find 10 tips for drawing your storyboard. Enjoy yourself. Storyboarding can be fun.
We are engaged in a small church, a church of about 30 to 40 people in northern Germany. And the pastor is very open-minded. So recently asked me, he said, "Are you willing to lead the service through the means of storytelling?" Not a problem. So I did tell the story of God sending the poisonous snakes to Israel. And this was at the start of Corona. It was also the last time that we as a congregation got together physically. The next week, everything was closed and we moved from a physical get-together to Zoom. Our pastor also immediately realized that this storytelling was far more interactive and far more engaging, and particularly so when engaging in via Zoom and reaching out to the congregation. He also was quite open to getting the congregation, different people in the congregation, to tell the stories rather than just him, myself, and my wife. And it's been beautiful. The church has embraced this. We have at this stage about 6 women that are regularly getting together with my wife, Mariki, and actively practicing storytelling. Likewise, I'm currently leading a small group of storytelling as well. And yeah, our congregation is coming alive through storytelling, and everybody very appreciative and grateful to God for the richness of storytelling.